Jesus, now in the custody of the chief priests and scribes, is taken to Annas, the father-in-law of High Priest Caiaphas. Earlier in the week, Caiaphas had revealed a supposed prophecy that indicated it would be best if Jesus were to die for the people and for the nation. As priests and scribes gather in the presence of Annas and Caiaphas, crowds are forming in the courtyard where Peter and another disciple are forced to stop following Jesus' captors. The priests are looking for any testimony that would give them reason to put Jesus to death and weren't necessarily worried about the truthfulness of the testimony. When directly asked by Caiaphas if he is the Messiah, Jesus responds, "I am, and you will see the Son of Man seated at the right hand of power and coming with the clouds of heaven." This statement is enough for those in attendance to declare blasphemy and condemn Jesus to death. John tells us the high priest also questions Jesus about his teaching. Jesus responds by saying he taught nothing in secret, and the gathered priests could question those who heard his teachings. One priest slaps Jesus for his answer and the disrespect he believes Jesus has shown to Caiaphas. "If what I said is wrong, bear witness about the wrong. But if what I said is right, why do you strike me?" No response to Jesus' question is recorded, but a still bound Jesus is sent away from Annas' place. While this is going on, Peter is accused 3 times of being close with Jesus, and Peter denies even knowing him. After the third denial, a rooster crows, and Mark says Jesus looks back at Peter as he's being led away. Peter suddenly remembers Jesus had foretold his denial just hours earlier, and he breaks down weeping publicly. Jesus is beaten and mocked by his guards, then led to Pilate, the Roman governor of the region. During this time, Judas realizes the great injustice he has been a part of and tries to return the silver to the priests and elders, declaring that Jesus is innocent blood. He throws the silver into the temple and then leaves to take his own life. The priests now have a problem. This silver is blood money and cannot be taken into the temple treasury. To solve this issue, they buy the potter's field as a burial place for foreigners. Matthew tells us this is done to fulfill a prophecy from Jeremiah. But the 30 pieces of silver, the throwing of the silver, and a potter appear to be a reference to Zechariah 11:12-13. "Then I said to them, if it seems good to you, give me my wages, but if not, keep them. And they weighed out as my wages 30 pieces of silver. Then the Lord said to me, throw it to the potter, the lordly price at which I was priced by them." In those days, the Old Testament was broken into 3 sections: the law, the history, and the prophets. The prophets, as a collective, were commonly called the Jeremiah scrolls. So this could explain why we see a reference to Zechariah labeled as a reference to Jeremiah. As Jesus arrives before Pilate, Pilate has no idea why Jesus is even there. No specific crimes are stated, and when Pilate hears that Jesus is from Galilee, he sends Jesus to Herod, since Galilee is Herod's jurisdiction. Herod is glad he finally gets the chance to meet Jesus, but he mocks him, treats him with contempt, dresses him in bright clothing, and sends Jesus back to Pilate. Pilate finds no fault with Jesus and offers the crowd gathered a choice. He can release Jesus, a man who has done no wrong, or release Barabbas, a man in prison for murder and rebellion. The crowd chooses Barabbas and calls for the crucifixion of Jesus. So Pilate, wishing to satisfy the crowd, released for them Barabbas, and having scourged Jesus, he delivered him to be crucified. The Roman soldiers led Jesus away from Pilate's palace, dressed him in a purple robe signifying royalty, placed a crown of thorns on his head, and began to mockingly salute him as King of the Jews. After beating him and spitting on him, they ripped the robe off him, dressed him in the clothes he was arrested in, and make him carry his cross to Golgotha, or the place of the skull. He is crucified on the cross between 2 criminals. Pilate had a sign created that said, "Jesus of Nazareth, King of the Jews." And that phrase was printed in Aramaic, Latin, and in Greek. The chief priests demanded that Pilate write, "He said, I am King of the Jews," but Pilate responds by saying he wrote what he meant to write. The soldiers take his clothes and divide them among themselves. Then they cast lots to determine who will keep his tunic. This is fulfillment of the prophecy found in Psalm 22, saying, "They divided my garments among them, and for my clothing they cast lots." On the cross, Jesus sees his mother standing next to the disciple John and instructs her to view John as a son and John to view Mary as a mother. From that point on, Mary lives with John and John takes care of her. Matthew, Mark, and Luke all three tell us the land is covered in darkness at noon, with Luke saying the sun's light failed. 3 hours later, Jesus calls out, my God, why have you forsaken me?" The crowd believes he is calling for Elijah, and some wait to see if Elijah will come to him. When Jesus says he is thirsty, he is given a drink from a sponge full of sour wine. When Jesus had received the sour wine, he said, "It is finished." And he bowed his head and gave up his spirit. And behold, the curtain of the temple was torn in two from top to bottom, and the earth shook, and the rocks were split. Jesus' body is removed from the cross, placed in a nearby tomb, and a large stone is rolled over the opening of the tomb. A Roman centurion who is there watching over Jesus after seeing the earthquake and the various events that occurred at the moment of Jesus' death declares, "Truly, this was the Son of God." Although this is where today's events end, it's not the end of our week. The centurion got one important word wrong in his proclamation. Not only was Jesus the Son of God, Jesus is the Son of God.